Hi guys, so today I will be reviewing this deck called the Rustic Fortune Tarot. I think the artist name is Ruxana Paul, and I think she has an Etsy shop where you can purchase it. But this one was all a Kickstarter project. But I can't really remember how I got this deck. I think it was a gift of some sort, and she does have a guidebook that goes with this deck that she sells on her Etsy shop. I did not purchase the guidebook because I thought I won't need it, but if you this deck is a little bit different than normal, like your tarot, so I suggest if you really want to have it, and if you are a very new reader, and you'll see in a little bit why I say that, that you purchase the guidebook if you want to, but it's up to you. It's personal choice. I'm going to show you how the deck, the back looks like. The back looks like it's rustic, like that's what the name suggests. And the card images, they're so fun. I think if you look at some of my first few and maybe a first couple of posts that I did on Substack, I have used this deck, and I am so into this deck that I really carried it on in my purse, so that is there. Anyway, so each of the cards is based on advertisement, or like an ad from the, like a retro ad of some sort. That's why I say that it is probably a little bit hard to read with if you are a very like a recent reader, or you're learning how to use tarot. Excuse me. So I think that would be my suggestion if you want to read this with this deck. But like I said, this is one of those decks that would really challenge you to push your boundaries if you are. I love this card. I just love this card. Anyway, so she did rename some of the suits, which is basically pleasures is I think it is wands, meals is pentacles, and then she did kind of like renamed some of the, okay, the drinks is cups. Yeah, I think she renamed all of the suits to kind of like match the theme here. So this is so fun, right? I love this card. So I am really into the retro art thing. Like, I think if I ever do, which I'm actually working on, it's not like a secret anymore. I'm working on my own tarot deck, and I am gonna probably be doing this in a retro art form. And like, I'm not an artsy type, so I have the idea, and I'm gonna use, don't judge me, I'm gonna use an AI tool to actually draw up all the images, because I am not artsy type, guys. So if I wish I could be an artist and had ample of time to actually work on a deck for like maybe 2 or 3 years. and most of the tarot decks that I think that has awesome art is probably illustrated by somebody else, while the concept is written by somebody else. So I think I don't have anybody else who would do that for me, and I have been meaning to do a tarot deck for myself for a really long time. And you know, like the cat is out of the bag. I am doing it, but I'm gonna probably be using some form of AI to some capacity to actually draw up the images. So there is no so this one is a Rose Riveter. I love this one. See, okay, tools is swords, if you can see. And so coming back to the fact that reading with a theme deck, I actually avoided doing that for the longest time I've been a reader. I initially thought that I am really into theme deck for, you know, when it goes for collection. Yes, I love to have them, but I don't really read with them. That was me like 6 years ago. After that, I feel like, you know, the idea. So I think she has before I proceed further, I want to say that she has the variation of the two variation of High Priestess card, and I actually am using this one. I think there's another High Priestess card, if you see here. I think I don't know why she did that. Anyway, so coming back to the fact that I didn't read with theme deck for the longest time that I've been a reader, but I've seen that when it comes to my intuition, and I've grown as a reader, so I now reach out for theme decks for you know, things that I, you know, like there are like situations and stuff. Like if it is a really lighthearted situation, I would rather want to read with a deck like this, or something that is, you know, sarcastic and satirical. I would probably want to reach out for a deck like this. And I think what I would say that the decks that I kind of avoid to use at this point is if something that is like completely Rider-Waite Smith and there is no real twist, but are the decks that are like really very love and light, kind of like all positive, there is no scary cards. I think I would not use a deck like that at this point of my life in general. And I do like the fact that you know, like tarot's like the whole point of like there is no positive or negative card for tarot, right? You can interpret everything in the positive light or a negative light in that sense. And I feel like I do that a lot. Like there is a lot of gray shade, and I think I like that. So when a deck has that kind of a potential where you can interpret it with in both positive and negative light. And again, one thing I don't know if you guys noticed about me, I don't read reversals. I absolutely do not read reversals. And this is something that I stuck by, even though you should ask like, okay, you said that you have grown as a tarot reader, why don't you read reversal? I just don't feel like reading reversals. I feel like the whole idea of reversals never sat right with me, so I don't use it. Maybe at some point in my life, maybe 10 years from now, I will be reading reversals, but today I don't. So that's why I look for decks, or even if I'm going to make my one for myself, I am going to be including images that has both the possibility of interpretation in both you know, light and dark or gray shades. So I think lot of the modern decks that I use today, and I like maybe in the last 10 years I've seen that the artists have actually incorporated that kind of a thing, that where not everything is just super positive love and light kind, right? And I think that is very important for me. If I'm using a deck for certain reading, I want to have that potential, because I don't use reversals, right? So this is one of my favorite cards. This is so cool. I love the retro images. I don't know why, I have something for those. Yeah, so this one is actually a hard deck to read with. So if you are seasoned, I would suggest give it a go. You probably be this might be a little bit of a you know, like a work to get to know this deck, but I love it. I absolutely love this deck, and I really carry it around in my purse now. So yeah, so this is called the Rustic Fortune Tarot. And if you are into like the retro, like retro art form, you know, all these retro images like comic book and stuff like that, you should have this deck. Is a must have. And like I said, I think somebody else asked me that about another deck that I used, has similar kind of images, and I told them like I seek these decks out. Like I really go and try to find decks that has this kind of images. So this is something I have like a penchant for, and I like this kind of decks. So if you like this review, I will link where to find this deck. But again, disclaimer, this deck is a harder one to read with. It is it needs a little bit of time for you to get to know this deck. So that is there, and I will link where to find it. And if you like this review, then don't forget to subscribe, because I have more decks to review over the course of the, you know, like hopefully in the future, and more like gems to find. So Broom Closet Briefing is a subscriber supported and reader supported publication. So make sure you subscribe to stay with me and on my journey. Thank you so much.